What's up, guys? It's Peyton with Powder River Baits. Sorry it's been a little while since my last video, but I didn't want to do a video on what all you need to do this until I got the main piece, which is this bad boy right here. This is a 3.5-inch swim mold from Epic Bait Molds. They partnered with Marling Baits. He's a guy who does a ton of YouTube stuff about this too. He's an awesome dude. That's his logo right there. Go check some of his videos out too. But this is the bait that we're going to be pouring today. So this will actually be a video on what you need, as well as actually pouring some baits. So if you look close, you can really see the fine detail in this, and just see how well this is machined to fit together and look like an awesome bait when you're done. So we will get into that. This is also an interesting feature before we go any further. This little piece right here is a hook slot. So if you want a hook in your bait, which you might want if you want to catch fish, you're going to put that little slot in there before you close it. And when you pour that little line right there, it's going to leave a void so that you can put one of these bad boys, Owner Beast hooks, 4/0 size, 1/8 ounce, right through the center, and it fits like a glove. I also got these. These are 6mm eyes that'll fit the bait perfectly, so we'll put some of those on when we're done. But let's get to the section about what you'll need, and then we'll start pouring some baits. Okay, so first things first, when you're doing this, you obviously want to be safe, and so you want to have some gloves because you're going to be working with hot plastic that's over 350 degrees. That'll give you some nice blisters. I work construction, so I'm always wearing a hat and glasses. So I just did that, and I would recommend a respirator as well. The only reason I'm not wearing one right now is because I want you guys to be able to hear me clearly, and outside is right there, so we should be good on that front. Just a drink of water every now and then is good too. So this is your plastic. I got it from Dead On Plastics. It's been said by many that it's the best plastic out there to work with, and so that's what I got. And they have a ton of different blends. This one here is the swim bait blend, which we're making swim baits today, so that is what we're going to use. The hardness of the plastic is what differs between all of the blends, and I think that's important to go over real quick. You're not going to use a swim bait or a jerk bait blend on a Senko worm because you want it to be soft, you want it to have a certain action, and while still being kind of durable. The swim bait is a little step up from that as far as hardness goes. You're going to want something that's not going to deteriorate after 1 or 2 fish tries to take its head off and comes to your boat instead. So that's a short rundown. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's a short rundown on the durometer and the hardness of your plastics. So what we'll do is pour the plastic into one of these guys. If you're doing hand pours like this will be, this is not an injection pour. You're just going to simply pour the plastic into the mold like that. You're going to need some of these, and I would recommend a smaller size. As you can see here, I have a giant one. We're not going to use that today because we don't need much plastic to fill up that 3.5-inch swim bait mold there. So you're going to pour it in here, and the next thing you absolutely need is a microwave. This is my girlfriend. She had it at her dorm room in college. So clearly you need nothing fancy. And what you're going to want to do is heat that plastic up in there for around 3 minutes, but you want it to get over 350 degrees. That is the sweet spot. Anything lower than that you try to pour is going to be a gooey mess, and it's just going to really suck. So that brings me to my next optional tool, which is this heat gun. And obviously I'm 90.5 degrees. It's not for use on humans, but anyway, when you pop it out of the microwave, you want to shoot that real quick and see what you're at and make sure you're hitting that 350 or more. Next thing, I guess, I would call it a necessity, but if you want to pour clear baits, that's perfectly fine. These are all colors, and so you're going to use a few drops of this once you heat up your plastic, or you can put it in there before as well. I would actually recommend that. So you're going to put your color in, throw it in the microwave, come out, and be ready to pour. Depending on what you want to do, I just went with a good starter amount of colors. And I also went with these Paragon effects. These are from Dead On Plastics as well. All this right here is. And I got the Opaline Blue and the Bureau Guard. These aren't actually colors, they are just color effects. So if it hits a light a certain way, you will be able to see a shimmer of blue, or like this one says, that maroonish green. It's just cool effects to have when you're shooting more translucent plastic. This isn't a necessity either, but I would highly recommend it as well. This is glitter, and don't worry, if you guys are looking at getting into this, I will put all the supplies and links that I got everything to on the description after I post it. But yeah, I would call that a necessity as well for me, just because I want to have glitter in my bait. I fish a lot of lakes and ponds and rivers that kind of have some low visibility, especially after a rain like it is right now. Hopefully the humidity doesn't affect me too much, but I want the fish to be able to see the bait. That's the main goal. This is optional for sure, but I'm going to use them just because I have them. I didn't go out and buy these for this specific purpose. I'm dropping a lot of shit today. But this is what you're going to do with these. If you've used clamps, it's pretty self-explanatory. All I'm going to do is just tighten those up and make sure that that bait is sealed. These lock screws on the Epic bait molds are awesome, and you know, I've never seen any people have any problems with them, but as just a precaution to really keep that sealed and make sure no plastic leaks through the bottom and it just makes a good cut, I'm going to use those. And the last couple of things that you don't necessarily need, but I wanted to get, this is a heat gun. It plugs in and yeah, produces heat. Pretty self-explanatory there as well. What this helps with is if you are wanting to pour different colors in different layers of your swim bait. So say I wanted to pour just up to this hook slot here in a clear translucent color, and then I wanted to come back over the top of that with a completely different color, and then maybe another color on top of that, even if I wanted to do like a trout looking flank on the fish. You would want a heat gun. It makes it a whole lot easier. And so what you're going to do is pour your first layer and then just hit it with a heat gun on the top to make sure that it doesn't harden and that it's still going to accept a bond with the next plastic that you pour on top of that. And so that's important, because if you want strong baits that are going to hold up against the elements, you're going to want them to laminate well, is the term that most people use. And to laminate well, you want them to be around the same temperature so that they create that bond and they don't get broken. I also have had some bags made by Sherry. I will post her Facebook link in the description as well. She made these stickers for me. They're awesome. I got the bags on Amazon, and I plan to just toss some of these swim baits in there, as well as my core shot molds when I get them from Angling AI, if I ever do. And then this little guy, you don't need something this big. I don't need something this big, but you need something to stir your plastic with, and that's insanely important as well, because plastic has resin in it and it will settle at the bottom if it sits like that for a good amount of time. I plan on getting 5-gallon jugs, and so this is easier. You can actually attach this to a drill, put some zip ties on it or something to mix it. But with these 1-gallon jugs, you're simply just going to set it on its side for a few minutes, maybe rotate it a little bit. And then once you've done that, just pop the top off, break the seal, and just stir that baby up. I've been told by many of my friends, once you think you've stirred enough, stir for another couple minutes. And so I've stirred enough, but I'll stir it in a couple minutes, and I will get back to you guys when we're ready to heat up the plastic. Okay guys, before we get heating up the plastics, I just wanted to mention, obviously when you are gonna use material to make a bait like this, you want to be efficient. And so while you can save your remelts, which is why I have this jug here, you can remelt your plastic later, I want to make sure that I'm not using a giant full cup of plastic for something that I'm only going to be covering the hook slot with. And so basically I'm just going to start with probably about 2 ounces of my base color, and I'm going to try to do a 3-color blend here, something for the belly that just goes up to that hook slot, a little line across the side of the fish, and then a top layer. And so we're going to go ahead and do that top layer now, so give me just 1 second and I'm going to decide on some colors. Okay, got my plastic in there. It's a little more than 2 ounces, maybe maybe 2.5, 3. What I'm going to do for the bottom layer is just use this white, but I'm not going to use a lot because I still want it to be translucent. I just want to give it a little bit of a cloudy effect, and so I'm going to do just a few drops in there, see how that turns out. And then we're going to stir it. And when you're stirring, you don't want to stir too fast. You want to get it thoroughly mixed, but you don't want to stir too fast. You don't want to introduce bubbles into the mix. That doesn't look good when you come out with your bait. And that looks like it's going to be kind of what I want. I might have added a little too much, but we'll make it work. Napkins are always nice too, forgot to tell you that. So we're going to pop this baby in the microwave for a few minutes, and I'll be back with you when it's done. Okay, something I did forget to mention before. When you're checking the temperature of your plastics, you want to make sure that you're stirring it, because if you just get a surface temp, of course it's going to be hot, but you want to see what it is all the way through. So you're going to want to mix it, and right when you stop mixing, just hit it. So we're about 380. That's going to be about perfect. And I did decide right before that I'm going to take a tiny bit of blue flake, as well as a little bit of orange, and mix that in there as well, just to give the bottom portion a little bit of a sheen, if you will, a little bit of texture. And so this is 0.015 flake, which is really small. You can get this stuff in hex cut, square cut, round cut, you name it. And you can get it in bigger sizes if you want your flake to be bigger, but that's what I went with. So that's what we're gonna do, damn it. All right, I'm gonna check temperature one more time. 343. So the important part is that we hit that 350 before it went in to the mold. So we're gonna pour this slowly. Just enough to cover that hook slot. And voila. I did get a tad on the side of the mold, so all you need to do is clean that off a little bit. And we are ready for our next color, ladies and gents. Alright, so for this one, I'm going to go ahead and use a neon color for the kind of the flank on the fish, if you would. So I'm going to use this neon orange, Dead On Plastics once again. And I want it to be pretty bright, but this stuff does go a long way, so I'm going to use about 5 or 6 drops there. Clean off my knife here a little bit. We're just going to stir that in and see where it gets us. So that kind of looks like more of a salmon pinkish color. I'm going to add more. I want it to be bright. Okay, let's try that on for size. Now we're getting somewhere. Let's add a little more yet. Oops, got some on my table, that's nice. There we go. So as you can see, that's more of an actual orange. Add just a tiny bit more. And while I'm doing all this, the plastic I already poured is cooling off quite rapidly, might I add. So we're going to want to hit it with that heat gun a little bit before I pour this next layer to make sure it laminates well. And I'm liking that orange. That looks like a pretty good orange to me. So we're going to go ahead and pop that in the microwave, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, we are well over that 350 mark. So let's go ahead and pour this. Get a little on the tail. Okay, that looks good. Wipe up some of that on the edge. Still getting the hang of that. All right, now for the last color, the blue. All right, whoa. We're ready for the last layer on this bad boy. There's always going to be a little flashing on the sides that you'll have to cut off, but I've come prepared. And I didn't show you guys this, but I did hit it with a heat gun after every layer. And I'm going to go ahead and hit it one more time just to try to solidify all that in there as best I can. A little more in there. That was too much, but that's okay. Okay, we'll pop it out when it dries. Alright guys, so I just pulled this out of the mold. Boom. Boot tail is going to have some awesome action. Had a little flashing up top that I had to cut off, and if you can see that, I don't know if you can, the tail actually didn't fill in all the way, so we'll shoot a few more, see if we can get something better. But look at those lamination lines straight across the bait. Got the hook slot, looks real good. Put one of those Owner Beast hooks in there, and then I'm thinking for this guy I'm going to put on some gold eyes. Put on a couple gold eyes and it'll look pretty good. So we'll let this bad boy cure for about 24 hours, and then hopefully if it's not raining tomorrow we'll take it fishing and see if we can catch something. I'm going to shoot a few more, put them in the video. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'm going to put all of the materials I had and bought in the description, so if you guys want to go out and get the same stuff, you're more than welcome to. Dead On Plastics for the plastic and colorant. Epic Bait Molds for this sweet mold. Super detailed, really good machining. Amazon for this type of stuff. I'll see if my girlfriend's mom has more microwaves, but I don't think she does, so you guys will have to find those on your own. Other than that, thanks for watching. I'll put some pictures up at the end of the other baits I finished today, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.